the stain, but not the color. I'm not gonna part with you like you're somebody's sweater, 'cause of a change in the weather.
Hello and welcome to Totally Tell Me, a weekly entertainment review podcast where we talk about movies, music, food, and fun. My name's Dominic Mercurio, and I'm here with Laura Weinbach.
Yo.
What's up, Laura?
What of it? How are you?
Oh, how am I? Let's hold that thought, and we'll introduce our guest of the week, which is Kendra McKinley.
Who is? Not which. He's a person.
Which is? Who is? Look, I've been drinking all weekend. Kendra McKinley, so nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you too. Wow,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the most I've looked forward to a Zoom thing.
Really?
Probably all year.
Wow,
Aw,
we're so honored that you would look forward to our show.
that
I
is an
hate
honor.
Zoom, but this is fun.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kendra McKinley, if you don't know, she's a musician, singer-songwriter. She, in fact, was playing, or the song that was just playing is one of her latest tracks called Dirty Laundry, which I really enjoy a lot, and hopefully you did too. Where can they find that if they liked it?
If they really liked it,
Mm-hmm.
they can watch a video for it, which is on YouTube. If they don't want to look at anything other than the thing that they're already looking at while listening, I would recommend Spotify. The song is called Dirty Laundry.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And you're airing it. Here's the deal.
I'm airing it? Oh, I get it.
Oh, yeah. Like you're airing the dirty laundry. I
Yeah,
assume.
I didn't hear the words at first when you said that. I just heard you're airing it. And I was like, I don't know what that is.
Okay, look, here. For people who have not tuned in before, we take a film. We take a film every week. Actually, every 2 weeks. And this week's film is going to be Kajillionaire, written and directed by Miranda July. She's done a bunch of stuff, but we'll get to her in a little bit. First half of the show, we're just going to chat about really whatever we feel like, current events and other things.
Love life and the sweet hereafter.
We go live bi-weekly on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So feel free to follow us on any of those platforms wherever you like to watch things live. If you comment, we will see your comments and we will incorporate you into the show. So if you've seen the film too, feel free to give us your thoughts and we'll read them. And our next episode will be in 2 weeks. It's going to be November 22nd, which is a Sunday at 7 p.m. And we're going to have Emily Jane White as our next guest as well. So we're very excited about that. So mark that calendar. But I say we really get to the thick of things here, which is we have a bit of a celebration, I would say, at hand. I don't know if anyone has heard, if anyone's been following the news, but Joe Biden is, oh my fucking God. This might just really backfire on me. Joe Biden is the president of the United States. So, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
I mean, wow, we did it. I mean, fuck Trump. He's out of here. I mean, I would have sent you all a bottle because that really would have sealed the deal. But I'm just gonna virtually cheers you both. In a sort
you
of
still can.
in a sign,
There's
and I
no
will.
time limit on that.
Oh, send you a bottle.
Cheers to you. I'll drink my alkaline water.
Cheers to us, everybody.
We did it.
Oh.
We did it. I mean, everyone did it. But man, actually, wait, Kendra, I think. Do you mind turning up just a little bit? You're a little quiet on my end. I don't know.
Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, up,
Hell yeah.
up.
That seems
Up
better
like
for me.
that?
I couldn't hear
Okay.
you. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool. And then Laura, maybe you just go up just an ever so slight hair.
Okay.
Just a
Oh,
hair.
Ever so slight. I'll just go up an ever so slight hair.
That sounds great. Thank you.
There we go.
And let us know, by the way, if you're watching and someone is wildly too quiet or too loud. We will adjust. But man, I mean, holy shit. Where were you?
Yeah.
I mean, Kendra, tell us how your yesterday went, or really this whole week, if you want to start at the beginning.
How did my yesterday go? Okay, well, I'll like the abridged version would definitely be like woke up Tuesday, had dropped off my ballot about 2 weeks prior, received a letter from Nevada County saying that my signature didn't match the
Oh
envelope.
my goodness.
So I had
Nevada.
I'm in Grass
county.
Valley at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
then that's considered Nevada County.
Mm-hmm.
But still
Oh, Nevada
in California.
County. Sorry, not California. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Still in California, but in Nevada
Right, right,
County.
right.
But yeah,
oh,
so
I
like-
didn't know you were registered in Grass Valley.
Yeah, I've been here.
Why
since
would you be
March.
registered there?
Well, when sheltering in place happened, I needed a place to go, and I came up to live with Dan in Grass Valley.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay,
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense.
'Cause I didn't live.
Sorry,
anywhere.
I just want to comment on one
Manura.
quick thing, which was funny
Yeah.
because you were like, I'm gonna give the abridged version back on Tuesday. I asked you what you did yesterday.
No,
and
no,
now
no.
we're going
I
back
did
to
And now we're
expand
talking
it.
about March.
but let's keep going. That's
So I woke
totally
up.
fine. I just thought it was
I woke up, didn't get out of bed immediately, but I was up.
scrolled through my phone, was looking at Instagram, saw some amazing posts. I thought I'm gonna respond. No, I'm
But I
sorry, keep
didn't
going.
go on Instagram because it was hacked.
Oh,
Which-
fuck.
Oh my god, that's right. You mentioned that earlier.
Wow. Yeah, the version's getting longer. Well, I voted, and then I had to prove that that I was the real person that signed it because my signature on the envelope didn't match my 15-year-old's signature from my original ID.
I used to try to change my signature every other day just because I thought that, if anybody wanted to try to jack my signature, they wouldn't know what my new signature would be.
Totally.
It actually makes it a lot easier for them to sign my name because it wouldn't be a consistent signature. So
I know.
I can't
Totally.
even tell if you're
Keep going.
joking. All right, go ahead. We're
I'm
just gonna
not.
breeze
I used
past
to
that.
just practice signing my name all the time. It was an obsession. Go ahead.
Oh my god, I know. Yeah, and since COVID's happening and just having to be conscious of surfaces and germs, I make my signature as small as possible. I actually do a little dot. Get that. This is the
Uh-huh.
abridged version.
So we're on Tuesday morning.
So it's Tuesday morning. I get up. Well, I don't know. I was trying to be chill.
Yeah.
I was I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna be. I'm not gonna decide what's gonna happen before anything happens.
Yeah.
I was what's gonna happen will happen. And I was I'm gonna make falafel for my housemates. So it's when everything's kind of starting to creep in, I'll just be don't worry, I'll feed you. It's not honest that was how I felt I could handle it.
Right.
And then yeah, it was so clear that watching the map show where it was 30 people are just speculating about any modicum of information or like any of the ways it could splinter off into more whatever.
Mhm.
It was just like, it's too many people talking too much about what could happen
Mhm.
and like pressing the refresh button on that process. So it's just like, I just like drank a lot, you know. It's just like I like went from being chill to drunk because I was just like, oh God, like
Yeah.
this is looking bad. Oh my
Mhm.
God, I was shocked in 2016. Maybe I should like brace myself again.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Wednesday, I woke up and I cried because I was just like, you know, like how come so many people still vote for him? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like how the fuck?
And it was very much up in the air on Wednesday too. It did
yeah,
not feel
oh, yeah.
concrete.
And it
It's
was
not-
there were ups and downs too, because it was like then suddenly Trump was leading in certain states, and you were like, "Oh shit, this is not looking good." And then Florida happened. Keep going.
So then on
Proceed.
Thursday, no, I was skipped to like Friday, Saturday blend. I just started feeling so stoked. It was just like,
Mhm.
okay, I like where
Mhm.
this is going. I like that if you visit Trump's like Twitter page, they're just all flagged as garbage. It's just like, oh, you can't see anything that he's saying, and then you start to think like, oh, this is like what life's gonna be like when you don't hear him.
Mhm.
You also wonder, like, why did they not do this like 4 years ago,
Yeah.
or at least 3 years ago?
Why didn't they vote for Biden 4 years ago? Wait, what do you mean?
No, why didn't they flag
Like
all
fact
his
check,
like,
yeah.
you know, yeah? Why didn't they fact check his post before and like censor that? You know, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was like it was still too new and shocking. People were just like,
Well, also there's yeah. I mean, there weren't any real regulations on like social media platforms yet in terms of like the actual law. So
yeah.
It also
I
got
think now there's a lot more pressure and like, you know.
Yeah. It also
And
got
like-
sassier and sassier as the days went on. Like Twitter's fact check of his tweets. Yesterday, once it was actually concrete that Joe Biden was the president, he tweeted that he won by a lot or whatever.
I know that was so much.
His-
I
won by a lot.
By a lot.
By a lot.
And then the fact check under it, was a little blue thing like, this is very misleading. And then you click that, and it just has a big banner that says Joe Biden is the president-elect.
No, like, you know what? I
Like, all you have
imagine,
to do
his
is like,
advisors
I
going,
won a lot. Click. Joe Biden is actually the president.
So he posts this post that I won by a lot, and his advisors are going up to him going, sir, Mr. President, your name is spelled Trump. It starts with a T, not a B.
It's absurd.
I don't want to leave. You should show that video. I thought
Oh, I
this
know,
video
yeah.
that Sarah Silverman posted was so hilarious. I watched it like 3 times. I mean, maybe you guys won't think it's that funny, but I just thought it was so funny. It was like
I'll try and pull
Donald
it up.
Trump as a baby, like it's like him in a preschool with all these toddlers like bouncing on this ball, and his advisor comes in and is like, "Sir, we have to go now," and he's like, "I don't want to." You'll see if Dominic can show you guys.
Oh, I don't know
It's
if I
so
can.
funny.
But
Okay, never mind.
imagine
It's
it
really
for
funny.
now.
Go to Sarah Silverman's Instagram page and you'll see it. It's like the first post. But keep
Anyways,
going,
Kendra,
Kendra.
sorry to cut you off.
Carry on.
So, I mean, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's like the internet's like killing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I just love that feeling where it's like, you know, everyone's curtains have parted and they're like, wow, like maybe I'll clean my house. Like maybe today is a good day. And then they're just like fucking can I say that?
Oh yes, you can absolutely swear.
Okay. I just love this like there's like maniacal triumph where people are just like cackling with delight and it's epic and crying. Like I talked to my brother and he was like, I just cried listening to We Are the Champions, which is a pretty beautiful image. Just like adult man.
I could
so
totally see your
stoked
brother doing
about-
that.
Say what?
I could totally see your brother doing that.
Crying to We Are the Champions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that like one of his all-time favorite songs?
I mean, I think that songs are his all-time favorite songs. Like if they exist in like music as a thing, it's one of his
Yeah.
favorites. Non-discriminatory, but
So what did you do to celebrate yesterday after it was fully official?
oh, I smoked a spliff and I danced and I sang.
Beautiful.
walked around. I don't know. I really wish that I could have been in the Bay. I wish that it would have been like the best occasion to like be in the streets with a bunch of strangers and like everyone like squeezing each other and shouting and music and I definitely was like, fuck, I'd like to be with people.
Wait, are you in Grass Valley right now still?
Yes.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not living in the Bay. So it was definitely like, all right. Well,
But you could see it. Did you watch TV and like see all the parade, like not parades, but like people gathered in the streets and you know, just
I
like
saw
news footage?
Yeah, I saw footage of Stoke. A lot of cars
Did you-
honking.
Did
Yeah.
you not hear any cars honking around where you guys are at all? Are you
We're,
like in the woods?
high up on a ridge in the woods, and if there's a honking, well, usually it's not like a honking car. It's like, you know, someone like riding their ATV and blasting like this hip hop artist named Mercules at like 3:00 in the morning.
Hercules, is he a local?
Yeah.
Mercules, that's actually me, Dominic Mercules.
Ah,
Oh,
Yeah,
So you're
so
the one.
it's kind of a
you all
pseudonym.
along. I
Man,
don't care.
yesterday
Yeah.
it was crazy in the mission. I woke up. I was with Josh, and he woke me up to the news that it had flipped over, and we were hearing
Philadelphia?
cars honking and
I mean,
pots and
Pennsylvania.
pans and yeah, just that it had gone over 270 via Pennsylvania.
Oh, I
um,
see.
Yeah, so just cars honking and people were shouting and screaming, and it was just like it was crazy. And I mean, it was pretty early. I haven't really been getting up that early, but it was like 8:30 a.m. But we just got out of bed and just immediately started drinking, and like we went on our roof, and a couple of other people who live in our building were up there. So then we were like chatting and just it was so amazing. I mean. And in fact, I also put on "We Are the Champions" and Blue.
Right.
You know what I mean? Blue. Abadida abada idabadida.
Oh yeah.
I saw your.
Are you
post.
familiar? You
I
saw
thought
my
you- I
post.
thought
I didn't even know you do
the-
social
the
media.
The Joni Mitchell album. I was like, huh, that's introspective. You were like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do some watercolors inside of my journal.
But we went to Dolores and had a little picnic with one of our friends who we had already. We've kind of only have a bubble of like 3 friends that we've been seeing this entire time, so she's one of those 3 friends, and so we saw her and met in the park and had a little picnic. It was just incredible, though. I mean, man, the joy was just so palpable throughout San Francisco. Everyone was just like, you couldn't see their smiles, but their eyes were beaming through their masks. And
Yeah.
they like blocked off streets, and people were just dancing and riding bikes. It felt
Yeah.
like just this whole new world. It was so crazy because it's been so dark this whole year,
Yeah.
and to see people with joy on their face and feeling like they could just celebrate something, and everyone's just like, I don't know, interacting more. I just felt like I was looking at everybody, and everyone was just looking at me. It's like I feel like there was just this energy in the air. It was really incredible. I mean. This has
Yeah.
really, I feel like, turned even my mood around. just my base level of happiness has already skyrocketed from Tuesday to now.
Well, it's
What about
definitely
you,
a
Laura?
new level. I definitely feel a wave of hope that has come over the land. I mean, I remember though when Barack Obama was elected for the first time, and I was here in San Francisco, and it was a very similar feeling. I mean, it was nighttime, but everybody was just so happy, and like there was just this whole feeling of everybody here being in this state of just awe and inspiration, you know what I mean? Like feeling like, wow, they're witnessing this historical moment of the first Black president, you know? And it really did seem to give everybody this feeling of hope. And then when Donald Trump got elected, it was such a different feeling, obviously. I mean, it's just funny because I remember when Trump got elected, he couldn't even get a band to play at his inauguration because no cool bands would agree to like play at his freaking punk ass's event. And like,
Yeah.
he was acting as though like there were all these. I remember he was like, "There's more people at my inauguration than and any other president's inauguration." Or
Wasn't
some
it like
stupid shit
Matchbox
that.
20 or was it
It was.
what was
it
the
was
Christian
just
rock
some
band?
really bad band.
It was
and
just yeah.
but he had been like denied by several bands that I think that they had been reached out to, but I don't know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was just, it's interesting when you think about how like the artist community and the entertainer community is like pretty unanimously not for Trump, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, he has a few, I mean, obviously, but like it's just funny. I mean, when you think about the kinds of people that that would vote for such a person, or like the kinds of people that wouldn't, you know what I mean? And kind of, I don't know, it's just an interesting observation when you think, oh wow, it's I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, it was nice. I woke up and I was writing in my dream journal, and then Anton was like, he won. And I was like, oh my God. And I went to the, and I heard
I hope
like
he said it
horn
just
honking.
like that. He just turns to you
He
and
was
goes,
like,
he
he
won.
had, well, see, I've gone into the habit of writing my dreams down like every day for the last like year basically. And so the first thing I do is I wake up and I grab the journal. But Anton, the first thing he does is when he wakes up is grabs his phone, which is terrible. But like I think a lot of people do it,
As
and
do I, unfortunately.
I probably would be doing the same thing if I didn't have the dream journal. So I just like, even though I wanted to look, I had been looking every morning before that really because after Tuesday I was like, all right, what's happening, and I actually was doing it before the dream journal for the last like few days, but nothing new was happening every time I would check. So this time I decided to reach for the dream journal, and then Anton is like on his phone after I'd been writing for like 10 minutes, and he's like, oh, he won. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I
Was
ran to the
Anton not
living room
stoked? I mean,
oh,
what?
he was. We were both very stoked, but he was just
Okay.
like, yeah. And we both, well, I was doing a little like music kind of class that morning for little kids.
Mhm.
Not little folkies, but something sort of similar. But anyway, so he decided to wake up and join me, and like so we were both playing music for the kids in the morning, and like everybody was
Oh.
just so happy. And there was people driving outside, horns were honking outside the door, and like it just really felt like there was a lot. And we live in a pretty residential area, and so to hear that kind of energy outside of where we live, I really felt like, okay, everybody is super stoked, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you could tell the energy in the whole Bay Area. You could really feel it even just from being inside my house, and I turned the TV on, and I was like kind of glued to the TV, just wanting to see what was going on all over the Bay. So I was trying to look up local news stations, which was surprisingly difficult on my like Fire Stick TV. So I ended up watching Fox News, which was interesting because they were like totally, stoked seeming about the Biden election. Like most of the news reporters that were on were like, we think that, his speech yesterday was very conciliatory, and we think he's off to a really good start. And, they all seem to be in support of. And I was like, wow, have they like turned a new page, or are they just kind of no longer in fear that I don't
That's
know,
pretty
that they're
crazy.
like,
I didn't know that.
well, it was really interesting. I mean, look, the truth is, I don't really watch, obviously, very much Fox News, and so I wish I had a little bit better of like a firsthand grasp of how much they support Trump, and kind of in the because I never really. I just know that they were basically being controlled by, largely by like the Trump administration, but I never would really watch it. You know what I mean? So I kind of wanted to really see side by side like what the difference was in terms of their reporting versus like, NPR or something like that, or any other news station that's, anyway. And so, but yeah, it was actually pretty much unanimous. Like it was very similar to all the other stations that were showing coverage of everything, and they were editorializing. There was editorializing happening to a
Mhm.
degree. You know what I mean? And it seemed joyful. Like everybody seemed to be joyful. They all like everybody had smiles on their faces. It was like they couldn't help themselves. I think that there was this sort of sense that wow, we're not like under this dark shadow. Even though there is still fear, I think there's still a lot of fear that people are, thinking about like what's going to happen in these last 11 weeks.
Sure.
There is, I think, just for the day and watching the speech. So I watched TV. I was like watching the news, well, Kamala Harris was like in Oakland apparently in the morning, right? I heard. I think that she was like
Really?
she was in Oakland, and okay, I could be wrong. I'm not sure if I heard this right because Anton and I eventually went to go get coffee, and I also wanted to see what was going on like in the town. So we went to Lakeshore in Oakland, and everybody was just, jumping for joy. Cars were in the streets honking their horns, and people were like out and about, and just everybody was so psyched. And it was a cool feeling, and it was totally reminded me of when Barack Obama was elected. Only this time it was like it felt like the stakes were even higher, you know, and so there was that much more of a feeling of relief to a degree. But also, I mean, well, no, I myself though still was feeling a little bit like, you know, unsure of whether this is a, you know, totally secure thing still. You know what I mean? Even though I do feel in my bones that like it is, you know, like
It's
he is
secure.
going to be the next president, and even if Trump tries to like take it to the Supreme Court,
Which he will.
it's not. Yeah, I don't know if
He will
I
try.
just don't.
I mean,
I
not
don't
that he
think
will,
that it's gonna, based on what's happened at this point, like with him taking it to the various courts, like in each state, and them kind of just being like, "You've got nothing," makes me think that maybe people are actually going to play by the rules to some degree. I don't know, except for like Rudy Giuliani and like his very few, even his own advisors are telling him to give it up. Like I think his wife and then Jared Kushner, I think, were telling him to just stand down basically or concede.
Yeah, I think that was a rumor that Jared Kushner had said that, but it's unconfirmed.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I read that today, but yeah, I thought his speech. So I watched the speech. We went down to Lakeshore, and it was great. And then we came home, and then I wanted to do another drive-by, like at night, and just see what was going on. But I watched the speech first, which was like at 8:00, and I thought Biden's speech was great. I really did. I thought he gave a wonderful delivery on the speech, and also I thought what he was saying was like really not divisive and not, you know, he didn't. I felt like he made a real effort to reach out to, you know, people that didn't vote for him and try to just be empathetic and not, you know, gloating at all, you know. And so I don't know. I really believed what he was saying. I felt like his performance was really good. And it was actually really inspiring to watch him watching like the fireworks and stuff and just being like on that stage with his family. And I don't know. I thought it was a good show.
Did you watch
So
Kamala's
at least that.
speech?
Yes, I did. And I thought her speech was good too. I really like Kamala Harris myself personally, but I can see how some people might think of her as being a little like divisive because she has a little bit of a smug vibe to her. I'm into it. I like her. I think she's great. And I think she's very intelligent, and she totally has the skills to pay the bills. You know what I mean? But like, I can see how maybe some people might see her as divisive, you know? I don't know. I
mean, I love
think
her.
she's great.
I feel like she's the one who excites me. Joe Biden is I'm down, you know? Obviously I'm down. But her speech actually made me cry. I felt like it was so beautiful, especially when she was talking about just women and people of color and how they have never been represented in the White House and how she's the first breaking both of those barriers. I just feel like that was really moving. And
3 barriers. First Asian American.
Yes,
too.
yeah, that's true. But man, I mean, it really made me emotional just thinking about that because she called out so much about for all the little girls out there who are seeing this, and I'm just like, fuck, that is like really a big thing, you know, and
Totally.
really makes
that's
our
what's
future
crazy
seem
about
right.
this whole thing. It's like it's interesting because we have this one figure who's the president-elect, who's like an old white man, which is very much kind of feels like going backwards in a way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then I also feel like there's something about that that's necessary for moving forward because of where we're coming out of right now and the country being so divided that we need something a little more moderate. And then her, who is like breaking boundaries on all these levels as the vice president. It's like first female vice president, first black woman vice president, and first Asian American vice president. That's like amazing. And so to have that standing next to this president, you know what I mean? Like that is major progress, you know what I mean? And I think that this is like the way to move forward in a way, you know what I mean? Is like, it can't all just happen at once. You know what I mean? It has to have, there has to be like an element of balance, I feel like, in order for things to actually progress. Because I feel like if you go too far, then you go backwards like a lot. You know what I mean? Like kind of, I don't know. I don't know why Trump happened. You know what I mean? But I think there were various reasons for it. You know what I mean? And it's almost like, it's like going, when they say like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or whatever the
Mhm.
saying is. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think Joe Biden is a really good sort of, I don't know. I mean, I have faith in him. I really do. I feel like I think that he's going to, I mean, I'm really just excited to see what he's going to do. And I'm also really hopeful about how he's going to freaking deal with the pandemic, because that's the most like thing that's affecting me directly right now. And
Mhm.
so I feel like Donald Trump has just done the worst job with that. And like, it's affecting everyone directly in their own lives. You know what I mean? Like, there's no denying that. And so, and he's like not taking it seriously at all. So I feel like at least we're gonna have somebody who's gonna appoint real scientists and like have the CDC. I mean, granted, I do think that Fauci is like legit, but who knows who else is like part of the CDC and like having to do with what their regulations are and stuff. And I know that Trump has like in the White House has had a major influence on how the CDC is directing people to go about their lives, and I think that's really been bad in a lot of ways. And so I don't know. Hopefully that we can I mean, that gives me hope.
For sure.
All right, I've gone on too long.
Kendra,
But
you
yeah,
feeling
I feel
hopeful?
hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that Biden understands his role in kind of like passing the baton from just like reptilian white garbage walkers to just like, more diverse administration, to more like inclusive environments, to like upholding science and like these other like socioeconomic subjects that clearly so many people care about and like want to see reflected in our society. And I like that sense of humility from him, that he's not like just gonna come in and save the day as
Mhm.
a sole
Right.
character. And I mean, it still just like cracks me up when people like watch him speak and they're like, wow, it's like a complete sentence, and he's speaking to
Right.
a plan that he made, and like a plan that can be executed. And like, not only is there a plan that's researched and reflects like the thoughts and opinions of like a broad cast of informed people, but they're gonna start working on it on a Monday. Like, it's just like it breaks so many like brain bubbles to think
Mhm.
of
Because
the
it's like
like
the
the
bar has
president
been
doing
set
work.
so low.
I know
The bar has been
is
set so
so
low that when you have like
incredible.
an ounce or shred of dignity being spoken by somebody that is about to be our next leader, you're like, thank God. We're
Yeah,
not
and
going to be
I
governed by a total freaking buffoon anymore.
yeah,
Like,
just like
I mean,
the
yeah,
biggest
the
buffoon.
bar was
Yeah,
set so low. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think that Joe Biden, his speech was like I felt like he spoke way more concisely and didn't stutter at all. I mean, compared to the debates, I don't know if you guys watch the debates, but I felt like he was able to deliver his message very strongly compared to past public speeches that he's given. And so
It was
I
stronger
think
than
that
usual.
he's
I did notice that.
yeah, it made me think like he's going to do well when he's able to actually have, his time to actually speak and not be interrupted every 2 seconds by,
Yeah.
the
Well,
dump.
I mean, he's experiencing like that same like degree of joy and relief that like Dominic was speaking to, seeing in San Francisco, where people are just like, "Oh, I don't feel like I'm wearing like clothes that have been soaking in a sewage container and just like walking around, and they're like heavy and they're stinky, and like I just have to wear them for 4 years and like
Right.
pretend like I'm not dressed in sewage
Yeah,
suits."
it's been a really shitty blanket that we've all been under. And it's really nice to take it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. And yeah, maybe this will be the end of like, any sort of like political correspondence where someone has to control the mute button on the microphones.
I
Like,
know, my
people will
God.
actually have conversations and listen.
It would be
Whoa.
nice, wouldn't
One
it?
would hope.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, like I absolutely feel hopeful. Like, it's very exciting to like recognize in people that they have like reemerged from this darkness, or like, have had like an opportunity to like observe that their engagement matters,
Yeah.
and to feel like the administration like actually reflects humanity and not just the garbage parts. And so I don't know. I like to think that it's gonna make people rise to the occasion. Like, I think there's still like plenty, like more than enough work to be done, and we're all still like accountable
Yes.
to like, witnessing and participating in the changes that we want to see. But like, I mean, this is such good news. This is such a green light that I hope we just all like show up for it.
It's a blue light special.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like maybe we should shift gears a little bit in favor of our guest, Kendra. Kendra, okay. I see a couple things in our doc here that I'm actually very curious to ask you about, and I would feel a weight on my shoulders if we didn't get to a couple of these things before we have to move on to the movie. So just very briefly, I would love to know, can you tell me about this Halloween gig that you put in here?
Yeah. So I like to think of this gig as like if I were to have like a 2020 Mad Libs, like this page and how it was filled out is like what resulted in this gig. So I had a gig on Halloween morning at the grand opening of a pet store in Berkeley. They didn't want any amplified music from me, so they asked me to just play the acoustic guitar, and I said, okay, cool, I'll bring an acoustic guitar and I'll sing. They said, oh, no, we can't have you sing. I was like, well, I can wear a mask. And they're like, can you send us a video of you singing with a mask on? And I guess I was like too proud to send a video of me with a mask on, like singing to this like person at the pet store. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, I'll just sit in the corner in your pet store and like play the acoustic guitar. So I did. And honestly, like, it was dope because I wanted, like, it was Halloween, and like I was like, okay, I'm gonna dress up like a ghost. Like I brought like a sheet and like I cut out the eye holes, and I was just like, had my arms sticking out and like was playing guitar, but I couldn't like successfully position the eye slot in a way where I could still see without it completely exposing my nose, like the people that don't quite get how to wear masks.
Oh God.
And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna take off this sheet, and I just sat in the corner and I played guitar, like three brief sets, and then all of these like beautiful Bay Area dogs in costumes would come in and they would lick my feet while I was playing. Like I saw this like poodle that was like dressed as Cup of Noodles, and I was just like, this is such a weird gig, but this is like such a good gig.
Dogs licking your feet. I mean, wow. Is there anything more royal than that? Except for, I guess. So. I really hope it gets more royal than dogs licking your feet, but it was still just like, I've never had my feet licked during a set by any creature. So, I mean, it was like new and exciting in a lot of ways, but I mean, I just like, I will never stop enjoying saying, like my morning Halloween grand opening pet store gig combination of words. It's just... Yeah, I hear what you're saying about Mad Libs. That is,
yeah,
it's an odd assortment.
Yeah. Right. Have you had any like Mad Libs gigs where you're just like, I played like a set at 4:00 in the morning with like a scuba tank for like my neighbor's birthday, and they only wanted me to play like Soundgarden. Like, do you have any like?
I have.
I feel like that's more Laura's.
Off the top of my head. I'm sure it's out there. I'm drawing blanks right now.
Yeah.
I feel like we played in some Mad Libs. But I certainly
have played
locations.
I've played my share of weird, like, I don't know, just random places.
Right.
Yeah.
I definitely miss playing a Halloween gig, though. I'll say that, because Fox Sales usually does do a Halloween show and we dress up and stuff. So that was something that I missed. Though I tuned into to Laura's Halloween live show. Which,
oh, good.
Which does explain, by the way, the blood that's going on behind you, Laura? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if
that was
maybe
just-
45 minutes we should address the blood that's going on.
Not
But
blood. It's
Yeah, like
I made
Ralph
this
Steadman
artwork
vibe.
for our backdrop for like we did 2 sort of Halloween episodes, like one the week before Halloween and one we did a one on Halloween night where we just had like Anton and me hanging out talking about movies, and then I was like telling Anton what to play. I was like, play this song from this movie, but I didn't want to tell the audience, so I'd be like whispering it to him, and then he wouldn't know how to play it, so I had to like find it on Spotify and play it into his ear, and then he would play like movie music, and then the audience got to guess what it was from, and it was fun.
that's
Was
fun.
That's
it
Yeah.
cool.
fun? Dominic, you tell me. Was it
Oh
fun?
no, well, I mean, hate to break it to you, but I didn't watch that because I was out of town. But I
How was
did
the
watch.
guessing?
I watched the other one.
Oh, you watched the Monday one. Okay, yeah, we did a live stream on Halloween night where we just hung out and we had like the smoke machine going and like the artwork, and we were dressed up in our costumes. Anton was a mad scientist with blood splattered all over his jacket, and I was a non-elf with glasses and things and blood splattered all over a white shirt. So I basically blended into the background. Usually I have elf ears, but they wouldn't fit on my ears with the headphones, so I had to just not have the elf ears this year.
Those elf ears have
Um,
really hopped from year to year. I'll tell you what.
They-
Those elf ears are the
They're my
consistent thing
go-to.
through all of Laura's costume. She's always some kind of elf,
I
whether
like
it
them.
be
Yeah.
horrific elf, magical elf. I mean,
That'd be
and
a good
anything in
memoir
between.
name.
Football
Some
player elf.
kind of elf.
Was it last? No.
What kind of
was
elf
it
will
last
Laura
year?
be this year is really the question I
Yeah.
ask. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
what
think it
kind
was
of
last
elf?
year.
Yes, Kendra.
I was gonna say like 2021 predictions. What kind of elf are you gonna be next year?
Is there a
You guys
BuzzFeed
better
quiz?
start casting those guesses. What?
Yeah.
Somebody will get a prize. They get to win a free elf ear.
If you
Well,
guess what kind
just
of elf you'll
one.
be for 2021, you should
Yeah.
start that poll now. I say.
Dominic, what kind of
Uh,
elf do you think Laura's gonna be in 2021?
That's a great question.
Last
Kendra.
year I was a football playing robot elf.
Hmm.
Good
I like
thing.
how like they're all like some sort of combination. Like you're
Yeah.
not just a football playing elf.
Yeah.
You're football playing robot elf. So yeah, I think we should
With
each suggest
fangs.
one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what
Exactly.
about a retired mummy elf who has had their fair share of break-ins upon their house?
Their fair share of break-ins.
Yes, had
okay,
their fair
they're
share of
like-
break-ins
They're
upon
like
their house.
injured by someone's like
Mentally.
weapon.
No,
Okay,
like
alright.
like they have been scarred. So it's kind of like mummy
Yep,
again,
mentally.
retired
like-
mummy
it's like-
who has
okay.
been mentally scarred elf.
Okay, we'll think.
It's
we'll
just a
think
thought. It's
about
just a thought. It's
We'll
just a
think
thought.
about whether that's what I'm gonna be or not. I
All
mean,
right, Kendra.
I-
Kendra, do you have any a potential elf for Laura to be for 2021?
Yeah. I think that you're a buck-toothed customer service intern for a car rental company elf.
It's just
we shall
nonsense.
see. We shall see.
Wow. Have you thought about what you're going to be for 2021, Laura? Do you care to drop any hints about what kind of elf you'll be for 2021?
It probably
Any
will not
clues?
be. It probably will not be a lamp elf.
A
A
lamp
lamp
elf.
An elf that's a lamp.
Hey,
Okay.
fun fact, I was a lamp for Halloween last year.
You were? Wow.
You were
That
a
seems
lamp?
cool.
Dan and I were lamps.
I like that.
It was a couple's costume?
We were just a pair of
A
lamps
couple of lamps.
on the town.
You know what? Sometimes lamps come in pairs.
Was
Makes
the
sense.
was your head the light bulb, or like was it a lampshade over your head is what I'm asking?
We put lampshades on our heads, and then
I
we
love
had
it.
little headlamps coming through the top, and then cut out like a little eye slot, and then I had like a little chain that I taped on the inside, so it looked like you could pull it and
Oh,
turn it
that's-
on.
Nice.
It was great, and it's like the funniest part is just we really got like strong reactions. People were just always like lamps. Thrilled to see a pair of jolly lamps.
Sure. It's not every day you see a
Wow,
pair of
that
Jolly
is so
Lads.
funny that you were actually a lamp, and I just happened to say that. That's so random.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember.
I didn't
that, like,
know anybody would be a lamp. That's really cool.
we were lamps.
Um,
Yeah, I remember like we were walking through Bernal and we saw like this party bus that was like, all lit up and people were like getting on it and we were like, let's get on it. And we just got on this bus and everyone in there had like paid to do like this like Halloween tour, like booze tour, like where they just like drove around San Francisco and we just got on and they were like lamps and then no one like asked like, if we got tickets or like what we were doing and just it was really special.
Man,
Cool.
you were brightening
That
people's
sounds-
days.
that sounds like a real fun San Francisco experience.
Yeah, just a couple lamps living it up.
Just a couple lamps.
I'll tell you this much: on Halloween night, we got a lot of candy up in here. I spent like $40 freaking on candy, and
Oh,
like
no.
we ate a lot of it. And I have to say, my teeth hurt afterwards, and they still kind of do.
They're powerful
No more
drugs.
sweet tarts for me.
What's the percentage
tarts.
more, though, of candy that you ate than any given Sunday, though? Because you are
More.
a candy connoisseur.
I am, but like I don't eat that much anymore. I mean, I do to
Oh,
a
really?
degree.
Time for
I
change?
still really like Sour Powers by Dorval. That's the best brand for Sour Powers. And I
Sour
will
Powers?
eat a pack or two every here and there. But like the thing is you can't just eat 3 packs of Dorval Sour Powers in a row anymore. It's just not doable because it's gonna hurt your teeth. I used to do it, and now I can't.
No, that's
So
growing
I'll
up.
just do 1 pack. I'll do 1 pack, maybe.
You know what? That's adulthood right there.
It's sad, but yeah, it's true. But Dorval, they got some new flavors. I mean, not new flavors, but you may not know this. Dorval has many flavors that are not always available.
Oh,
And it's
what are
even
some
hard
of
to
the
find
rare
the Dorval Sour Powers in general. Like they only sell them usually at select liquor stores or gas stations. But they're like those Sour Powers that come in a slim rectangular pouch or plastic pouch, and it has this kind of guy on the front that looks like this. He's kind of like he looks kind of like a giraffe, kind of.
I
Okay.
thought
But
those
he's
were
just a sour
Punch
guy.
Straws. Is that
No,
what, are
not
they
Sour
different?
Punch. Very different. Very different.
Sour
Punch
Powers.
is these are Sour Powers. Yes, Sour Punch is very much a third tier kind of thing. I wouldn't go for that. It's like way too soft. The Dorvals are nice and
So
hard.
soft.
They're too soft. I
They're
used to go
so
for them as a kid, and then I realized they're not as good as what they could be. Because, well, when I was a kid, they had a lot more candy out there. Like at places like the Candy Stop and those kind of bulk candy stores, they would have Sour Powers, many options like tangerine flavor and peach, even though I'm not really into peach that much. But like they had all these flavors, and now they don't even sell flavors. They don't even sell Sour Powers at those candy stores anymore. It's kind of crazy.
What
Did either-
happened?
Oh,
They just stopped doing it. It was like, what the hell? And they also got rid of one of my other favorite candies, which were sour licorice bites by Snack Club. No longer available. They cut them off the shelves like back in, I think, around 2003. I've been writing to them to try to bring them back ever since, but they
You
said
write to them?
I
She
have
does.
written to them multiple times, as well as
How do you
I wrote
start
to General.
the letter? Is it like a to whom it may concern kind of letter?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. To whom it may concern. I'm writing to request that you bring back Sour Licorice Bites by Snack Club because, well, you are Snack Club. I'm writing to request that you bring back the Sour Licorice Bites because they were my like all-time favorite candy that was available in most AMPMs and Arcos, across California, but now they're not, and I don't understand why you got rid of them. I found out by looking online, though, is that other people have requested them too. And they stopped because they said that it was too hard to ship them because they would get melty and that like it was not as fresh seeming. But I thought they were good like that. I liked them like that, to be honest.
Seems
Whatever.
like
have either of you?
that's when you. Oh.
Oh no, go ahead,
What?
Kendra. Seems like that one.
Well, I was just gonna say that I don't know. It's just that just seems like an excuse. It's like ice packs, y'all. We got like a lot of chemical freezing agents that will keep things cold that are probably cheap and can keep.
I don't
those-
get it. I don't know. I feel like it would be awesome if they brought them back. But I actually tried to make my own since they don't sell them anymore. And I got like red vines and I just snipped them into bits. And then this is on tour one time. I got like a paper bag and I got one of those like lime things, you know those limes that have lime juice in it, but it's like plastic lime. And then I put that in there, and then I put sugar, and I shook it up, and it actually tasted pretty much similar to the real thing. Not exactly the same thing, but pretty good.
Did I bear witness
And
to this and just completely blanked it out of my memory?
I think you might have, yeah.
Dear God. Another question I had is: have either of you fucked with Warheads, the
Yeah.
notoriously sour candy?
Too sour for me.
Oh, it's too sour for everybody, but I feel like that was part of the fun of it. Is like, could you handle a
I
Warhead?
used to I liked the challenge when I was younger, but now I just find it to be painful. It hurts
I would
your
never
tongue.
eat it now. I would never eat it.
It kind
now.
of like burns your tongue almost,
Yeah.
There goes a stray Josh, by the way.
I remember in high school, my friend Genki and I used to just like
Genki?
Genki.
That's a place that has really good candy too, by the way.
Yeah.
You know Genki?
I don't know Genki, but
It's
I
a Japanese
know
store
Genki.
that has it's a store named Genki, but go ahead. Sorry.
He's a
just wanted
man named Genki, and he's Japanese.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
So-
that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like we used to get like the black warheads specifically.
Oh
and then
yeah.
just, like, put them on our mouth and just like try and like look intimidating to the other person. Just like whatever. It's not even that sour.
Mm-hmm.
But
It was
really,
all about that.
But really, you're just like burning a hole through your tongue and
Absolutely.
like losing all your taste buds rapidly.
It was awful.
That-
It tasted terrible. It didn't even it wasn't even worth it
Yeah.
because you know how eventually it turns sweet after 10 minutes
Yeah.
of torture or whatever.
It's
The
a
actual
metaphorical
candy-
candy.
Yeah, the actual candy itself, like the sweet flavor, was shit. Like it wasn't even good. The whole appeal was, can you make it through the sour? But
It's a metaphor.
what if Warheads really got their shit together and crafted truly the best sweet flavor candy, but in order to get to it, you had to get through the sour? I feel like that would be very appealing. And in fact, I still may fuck with the Warhead if that was the case. But it was such a mediocre flavor that I'm like, at this point, it's out the window,
Or what if it was like, instead of it being the most satisfyingly sweet center, the center is filled with pop rocks to further extend the
That's a
warlike
thing.
nature.
Are you talking about Zots?
Zots?
Oh wait, sorry. Zots don't have pop rocks, but they do have like a fizzy powder inside of a really sour shell.
Oh, that's called
You
a
know about Zots?
Mm-mm, I don't know that one.
Yeah, they're actually packaged sort of similar to Warheads. They come in like a little tiny packet, and then there's like a bunch connected to each other.
Yeah.
They're not that good. I don't love them.
Yeah. I have like very fond memories of like those like the caramel apple lollipops where like
love
they would
those.
get they would get like
yeah, those are so good.
razor sharp. Do you remember
Yes.
how sharp they would get?
Yes,
like,
they did.
like really slice the corners of your mouth.
It actually made me fearful to even have them, because eventually that they're just so small that it goes off the stick. It just kind of pops off, and then you just got this like basically you're just
Swallowing
kind of like you're like sloshing around a
Hard.
knife and like a razor in your mouth, and I'm like, this is. I feel like I could die at any moment if I were to just inhale the wrong way. It was always, you're really just on a razor thin margin with those. I feel like.
Yeah.
Have
have
you
to be
guys ever had-
mindful.
Have you ever had those like watermelon lollipops? It's like a watermelon slice, and then it's dipped in chili. Those are good, actually, kind of, but gross,
Totally.
but good. Now
Gross,
that
but
I
good.
enjoyed as a challenge, because it wasn't like painful to eat it, but it was intense, and I felt that it was a challenge, But I enjoyed that about it.
Was it worth it though in the end? Like, was the sweet flavor of the watermelon worth it?
I liked the flavor of the watermelon. Indeed.
You see, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a light at the end of the tunnel that is really
worth it.
motivating.
Oh my god, it's so good. And like when it's a thin layer of the chili powder, when you get past like the super thick layer and it becomes watermelon and chili, it's darn good. And then when you just have the watermelon, I will say this, that thing gets sharp too. Because it's like a sharp slice.
Right. At any rate, I do think that we should probably transition to the movie at hand. So look, here's the deal. Kajillionaire. I'm pulling up the info as we speak. Kajillionaire is written and directed by Miranda July. Miranda July is a really at this point a multimedia artist. She has directed a couple films before. Her first film was Me and You and Everyone We Know, which came out in 2005, and her second film was The Future, which came out in 2011. This is her third feature film. Along the way, though, she's really kind of dabbled in, I think, many different art forms, of which I have been a huge fan of. She wrote the novel The First Bad Man. She conceptualized an app called Somebody, which, in the briefest of ways, it kind of connected you with another stranger in your area, but it didn't give you guys any information. It basically just forced it. You sent a message to your friend, and then a stranger would deliver it to your friend in person, which I actually interacted with when it was live, and it was a really wild experiment. She also created an audience-driven interactive play called New Society, which I also attended, was a huge fan of. It was this kind of wild play that the whole concept is that she's starting a new society, and the audience members are now part of that new society, and so she's kind of it becomes a fourth wall breaking kind of experience where she pulls people from the audience at random to start performing various activities on stage. It was pretty crazy. And then she also released an album of audio plays called 10 Million Miles an Hour, which I was also very into. Anyways, the list goes on. Miranda July, she's back in film, though, which is, I think, probably what she's most known for, with Kajillionaire. This new film, it stars Evan Rachel Wood, Deborah Winger, Gina Rodriguez, and Richard Jenkins, and they're all members of a close-knit petty crime family whose relationship becomes frayed when a stranger joins their schemes. So, Kajillionaire is also, it's out on, I believe it's out on many platforms, but I watched it on Amazon Prime, so you can find it, probably at your local VOD store at this point. And if you have not watched the show before, we will not be spoiling anything about the plot until a certain point in which we'll make it very clear. So for now, we'll just talk our overall thoughts on the film. And we like to start with the guest here. So, Kendra, what did you think of Kajillionaire by Miranda July?
Yeah, so something that I really like about Miranda July's like general aesthetic that has like been translated in movies and her social media and her books, some of which I've read too. I just like the feeling like she like enters into a Salvation Army, and just whatever happens to be there in the room at the time and the people that are there are basically what will inform all of her creative decisions in the story. So there's this kind of like romantic sense of like quirky, odd objects and how they relate to each other, and like randomness and whimsy throughout all that. So I always think that that's like a fun aspect of hers. I also love like her kind of way of, I don't know, surrealism or like augmenting reality with like really subtle ways, like just like body movements. Like, every character is quirky, but it's like, it doesn't just feel like mundane everyday life just simply by observing like how one of the characters like enters into a post office, where you're just like, okay, this is like kind of fantastical, this is kind of extra. And I like that sense of wonder that she captures and imbues in everything that she makes. I thought it was like a really touching love story, like, not just like, in terms of romance, but just like love as a concept, what it means, like love as wealth. And yeah, I would say that those are my non-spoiler nuggets.
Yeah, I'm curious because you kind of mentioned some of her previous work. What sort of experience do you have with Miranda July prior to this film?
Well, I feel like we should mention that she also went to UCSC.
Yes,
Laura
she
and
did.
I both went.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
she did?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
She
When did
grew
she
up in
graduate?
Berkeley.
Yeah. Grew up in Berkeley, like
Oh, I
went to
see.
UCSC, came up in like the Portland kind of punk scene.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But,
and actually, even before that, she was doing 924 Gilman a bunch. Like she was kind of she was going there and kind of doing her spoken word stuff at 924 Gilman.
Oh, cool.
In Berkeley as well, yeah.
But to answer your question, Dominic, I read her book No One Belongs Here More Than You.
Yes, as did I. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and like the I remember like the story about her like giving like a swimming lesson to like an elderly man without any water, just them like lying on their stomachs like in his apartment, just like moving their limbs to kind of simulate the experience of swimming. And I just like I like that about her, this kind of sense of freedom and openness to everything, like all people, all emotion, all objects, all circumstances, is like she's meeting the world with like a childlike curiosity. I think yeah, maybe that's another reason why she just feels like she's like creating like out of a Salvation Army, because it's like not only is it like in a random compilation of items, but like each item has a history. It comes from a family. It like has absorbed experience, and I feel like she's like really in tune with that. I also read her book. It's like it's the kind of like the activity book.
Yeah.
No one, wait, Learning to Love You More.
Yes.
Which is just like basically her giving all of these prompts for ways to like, I mean, kind of be more like Miranda July, like kind of like be more engaged and curious and expressive. And she'll do things like, draw a constellation out of like the scars and freckles on your skin, or make a diorama of your childhood bedroom, or like take a picture of your parents kissing. And like the book was a compilation of responses and entries of these prompts.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's just like, she's alive. I like that about her.
Yeah, something you said really kind of hit it on the head for me, which was childlike wonder. I also want to just add that I feel like a lot of her work often feels like someone just starting from like almost forgetting everything there is to know academic wise about the medium in which she has entered. And then she is like starting from scratch and just kind of letting her mind go wild without the preconceived notions of these kind of rules, these unwritten rules of like, if you're going to write a book, it should be this long, or in chapter 3, it better do this, or the kind of hero's journey, at the halfway mark, there has to be a kind of life-turning event for your main character, that kind of stuff. Like these kind of things that are academic.
Non-formulaic.
Yeah, I feel like with everything that she does, she's like, all right, let me just come at this with a blank slate, and let's just see where this story goes, or whatever it is, whether it's a story or not. I feel like all of her work has always had that be very consistent, which does also make me feel like a childlike wonder with her, the kind of way that she goes through everything she does, really. But Laura, I want to give you a chance to speak as well before I rant. So, Laura, what did you think of Kajillionaire?
That was cool. I don't know. I will say this. I actually am not really familiar with much of her work at all. I haven't read any of her books or watched any of her other films or short films. I've known about her for a while. I've heard her on NPR before being interviewed. She seemed interesting, but I don't know. I guess I just I'm not sure what to make of this movie, to be honest. I'm like, I don't want to I'm not even, so I just finished watching it before this podcast, by the way.
Okay.
And I feel a sense of wanting to let it sink in before responding strongly to it either way, because I don't know if I like fully understood it, you know what I mean? Or what. Yeah, I don't exactly know if there was a specific message that she wanted to get across, and if I'm not getting it, or if I did get it and I'm just it's not fully resonating with me. You know what I mean? So I'm still meditating on it. Let's put it that way.
Totally.
Which, I have to say, like, with regard to, what was the Charlie Kaufman movie that we watched recently? You were never
You were never really here. I'm thinking of Ending Things.
I'm thinking of Ending You.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ending Things. Ending Things.
Never really here.
What?
Did you just refer to it as You Were Never Really Here?
Yes.
Which is another movie from like last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of Ending Things is what it's called.
Yeah.
I think that I could have given that a little more like meditating on before responding so crossly about it. I think that was maybe a little premature. I think I have a little bit more respect for the movie than I did initially.
Sure.
And that, there are some things that are certainly meritable about it. You know what I mean? And more than I probably gave it credit for. I think I acknowledged that it had moments that were cool, but then I mostly was kind of negative about it. And I think I kind of want to take that back. And now I feel like I want to be a little more careful about, if I'm not immediately like, awestruck by a film or in love with it right off the bat, that doesn't mean that I might not, come to terms with it later. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hear
so
that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I hear that because like I watched the movie yesterday and I kind of had that feeling too, where I was like, okay, yeah, this is a Miranda July film. Yeah, okay. And then like the more that I thought about it today, I was kind of like, oh, maybe that's what she meant there. Like, oh, like this, and like, it kind of like sinking in a different way. Yeah, I think I also didn't feel like I didn't have any desire to see the movie again. I was like, okay, art.
It definitely felt like art or whatever. I mean, which I like. I mean, the thing is I love art movies.
Art.
I love art in general, but like I didn't feel I just wasn't sure about it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really connect with the characters that well, which is maybe okay. Like I don't have to connect with the characters necessarily. But
They
yeah,
didn't really
I'm not
connect
going to
with
say
each other
that
either.
I'm not going to say that I was like blown away by it immediately. You know what I mean? Like that's not my reaction to this film.
Totally.
And sometimes that is my reaction to certain films, but pretty rarely. But like, so I can't say like this was hands down amazing. That's just not my visceral response. But I'm not going to just say that it like sucked because I don't think it sucked. I actually think that there were really cool things about it, and like I'm still processing them because I still don't fully understand a lot of it, So that's just where I'm at.
I think that's super fair. And I would add to that the first experience I had with anything Miranda July, I was also pretty like, and by the way, that was her first film, Me and You and Everyone We Know. I watched that after it was kind of getting hyped at Sundance many years ago. It was maybe a couple years after it had come out. And I kind of felt a little bit underwhelmed and kind of like, okay, I'm kind of into some of it, but also some of it kind of alienates me, and I don't really know how to feel about this, and this, and whatever. I feel like I was coming at it with more of like a critical kind of viewpoint, but then I feel like, but I was intrigued. That's the main thing, is it intrigued me. I was like, okay, I don't think I really fully understand or whatever, but I do like a lot of the toys, I suppose, that she's playing with, and perhaps she could put those together in a different way that would be more appealing to me personally. And then it was really with her second film, The Future, where I started to feel a much deeper connection with what she was going for, despite the fact that I would still say The Future is equally, if not more so, alienating than her first film. But I think it was honestly just exposure to her style that started to just like deeply entrance me. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm really starting to love what she's up to. And then it kind of just spiraled from there. And then I looked into her back catalog and realized that, oh, she's not just a filmmaker. She's an author. She's well, I don't even, it's not necessarily like a playwright, but she's just a multimedia artist. She's explored all these different avenues. And I started looking into those avenues, and I just really loved what she was kind of doing. Meeting technology with emotion, I would say, is really one of her strongest suits, where she takes a new medium and whatever technology that medium kind of most intrinsically connects with, she kind of finds a way to say something about humanity through that technology. Like, for example, most recently, it's not even necessarily a project that she did, but just on social media, she kind of started this fake relationship with another person who, like another famous actor on Instagram. And ultimately I was doing some research, like the other actress was in on it, but they kind of started this fake back and forth that felt real enough where you're like, oh wait, is this actually like a real love affair? Like it's kind of, you were like, wait, are these two women actually flirting with each other? And wait, are they actually in love with each other now? Or like it became so breaking the fourth wall that you were kind of like, okay, wait, I'm not actually sure even what is real anymore. And then it ended with this seance that they got together and they like built this shrine. And I mean, basically it just went off the rails. But ultimately that was all this planned project that she was like, she had called up this other woman and she was like, all right, we're gonna fool everybody basically. But basically she uses technology in a really interesting way, I feel like, to say things about what we perceive through them, especially with social media. I know I'm kind of going pretty far off of Kajillionaire, so to bring it back, I would say Kajillionaire.
You were doing the abridged version.
I've seen the abridged version, but Kajillionaire, my thoughts on Kajillionaire are that I would say if you don't already know Miranda July through something, I don't think this is a way in. I feel like I feel like it's oddly.
That's what I was.
Yeah,
think I was thinking that. I was like, maybe if I've seen her other work, for some reason I had that thought, like that if I'd seen her other work, maybe I'd get it more or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think that about necessarily all artists at all. You know what I mean? Like, there's certainly a lot of interesting, sort of offbeat kind of filmmaking that I can get into right away without having seen the other work. But I had a feeling, I don't know, something about this made me think there's probably something about her other work that would somehow, I don't know, make this more understandable or something like that for me. I don't know.
She's definitely a vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess at the same time though, I struggle to think of what is. Like,
Okay.
I almost feel like it's a hurdle that one must overcome when interacting with Miranda July's work. Is at first it very well might put you off, and she becomes a hard sell, I think, to someone who doesn't already know her. So honestly, your reaction does not surprise me at all, Laura. I anticipated you would not like this movie, but I would still encourage you.
I didn't say I didn't like it.
No, and I'm not saying
sure
I'm not saying you said that either. But I guess I'm saying I would encourage you to, if you felt so inclined, to also check out some of her other work, because I think the more that you kind of get to know, just in general, the kind of things that she's going for, the more that you can appreciate, I think, just the work that everything that she does. Like, I think everything becomes more clear once you get a better understanding of, because I think the first instinct and the reaction from a lot of people that I hear about Miranda July is that it's just quirky for quirky's sake.
That's kind of what I felt like about it. I think that was probably what I was thinking during the movie. Like,
and I think that's
like
a really
trying to be quirky, but then
I think that's a fair assumption too, and I don't even think it's necessarily wrong. I think it all comes down to taste, because I don't necessarily disagree either. But I think, well, actually, I do I disagree with it being quirky for quirky's sake. I do agree it's quirky, but I think that there actually is more to it than just that. But I think it is, on surface level, feels like maybe someone just kind of stumbling through and just trying to be weird to stand out or something. But I really, having a familiarity with her, I would tell you that it's absolutely not that.
See, that's why I felt that too, though. Seriously, like I was like, I could easily react to this as just being like some kind of sort of quirky, posery kind of thing. But I sensed that there was more to it than that. I was like, I feel like there's some more depth to it than what it seems to be. So I just, again, like I said, I don't want to be too harsh on it because I felt it without knowing it. You know what I mean? Like, it was more of an intuition. Like, I don't know. I sense that there's something going on here that's actually really meaty and like deep in a way, but it's just not. Maybe I just don't get it, and I totally respect that. You know what I mean? Rather than me not getting something and thinking that it's just like superficial and like, cheesy or whatever, or like trying to be quirky. because there's
Sure.
certainly that kind of work out there too that I would respond to in such a way, but I'm not responding to this in that way necessarily. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Because I sense there's something to it, you know? I don't know.
Sure. And with that,
Whatever.
unless anybody else wanted to talk more just non-spoiler stuff, I do think that we should probably talk
Sure.
Spoiler.
spoilers. Yeah. So for if you're listening, if you're watching, we are gonna talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen Kajillionaire by Miranda July and you wouldn't want to know any spoilers, now's the time to tune out. But for if you have or if you don't care, feel free to keep on listening. So I'll put up our little spoiler warning here on the screen. Yeah. So again, I mean, I don't necessarily know where to begin, but does anybody have a starting point, or I can chime in here?
I could start with something.
Yeah.
Well, so I mentioned earlier that I thought it was a sweet love story
Mhm.
and not so much about, like the realization of a romantic love between two people, but a story about what love is and why we need it. And I
Mhm.
thought that, like the fact that this family unit is pretty disconnected from each other. Their entire existence is based on swindling and stealing and conning, and there's this kind of like false sense of camaraderie, like, they split everything three ways.
But
But
then it goes to one thing
but then it
always.
goes to one thing always.
Right.
And so then the consequence is that this character, old Dolio, never experiences love or like a sense of self, or like she takes up any space, and is, kind of has like this Stockholm syndrome with her parents, where like she feels indebted to them and this lifestyle that they've created, but she feels like so disconnected and depleted. And like, then like these opportunities for her to like be educated about, human contact and empathy, like through the birthing class and the massage, where it's just like she's so unaccustomed to care and nurturance that she actually doesn't know how to respond to it.
Or
And I thought
receive
that
it.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then like, there's like the point in the beginning of the movie and in the trailer where like the dad is talking about how like everyone wants to be a Kajillionaire, and like, they're addicted to like this greed and sugar and all these like, superficial things. But it's also like, to me, the reason that the movie is like called Kajillionaire is like, what makes you a Kajillionaire is love. And like the whole journey that old Dolio takes through it is like understanding that sense of wealth and stability through love and affection, but also that one's own journey towards finding love and affection also comes with grieving the fact that people are people, and like they're not just going to change to for your convenience. And I
Mhm.
think that, like that whole plot line where what's is it Melanie?
Yes.
Melanie
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
okay. So like Melanie comes in and she's like, I don't know, I thought she was kind of like an interesting variation on like the manic pixie dream girl. She was like manic pixie, like surrogate mother girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, she came in and she's just like, she feels this like chemical attraction towards old Dolio, and like, like feels this call to teach her how to love and like offer affection.
Mhm.
And then like old Dolio has to like figure out how to like process through all of her own stuff in order to be open to love, and also to like accept that she's not going to get that from her parents. And it's not because they don't love her, but it's because, people are people, and they're not just going to change at your convenience. And yeah, and I thought that like, like the kind of love story aspect of it was inconsequent. I don't know, not that it was inconsequential, but I kind of liked that like the story wasn't about like the culmination of their love or relationship. I thought it was
Mhm.
just kind of like a sweet ending that, like what's more symbolic of like love and openness than like a first kiss. It's like it's all potential and like warm feelings, and she just like had this moment of acceptance, and
Yeah.
she's starting to get some love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really was just starting as the movie
Yeah.
ends. In
Yeah.
a way, their relationship. I mean, and that was something that also was this this thing I was struggling with too. Is like I did want more. I think from their relationship because I was so interested in it, and I guess I don't really know how to feel about that relationship because it felt like at times it felt like the movie was going to give us more, but ultimately, yeah, it does just kind of leave you, I guess, in this spot, just knowing that she is beginning her journey towards empathy and accepting love and understanding that care can come to you without it meaning something in return, or love can come to you without it meaning something in return. Because obviously her
Without
parents,
having to be paid for.
right? Yeah, like because
Yeah.
throughout the movie, her parents, anytime they offer any kind of affection or love, she knows and has it's already been ingrained in her mind that it means a price at the end of the day. It means
Yeah.
that they're moving towards some new I don't know the word for it, but new find.
Scheme.
Yeah, new scheme. Yeah, that was exactly the word. Yeah, I thought
Heist.
new heist. Yeah, I also oddly thought it would go wilder than it
Yeah.
did. A lot of her. This is, I would say, the tamest movie she's made. It stays very real. It stays in the realm of reality. It never goes full fantastical. And I did think it was going to go full fantastical at a couple moments, but it still kind of teeters on the edge, but never really goes complete insanity. And I feel like that's a double-edged sword because in some ways I really I liked the consistent tone, which has actually been a problem for me in some of her other stuff. Because again, I'll just say like I love Miranda July's work overall, but I never have felt like she 100% nailed it. But I also feel like she didn't need to because so much of the stuff that she did nail is so good that it makes up for the stuff that I didn't quite connect with. With this, I felt like it was very consistently good, and it never really reached the heights of some of my favorite things that she's done, but it also didn't reach the lows of some of the risks that she's taken, if that makes sense. Like I feel like when
Yeah.
she does take these big left turn things in her work, you're really either just going to go with it or you're going to repel it. And I have done both throughout the things that she's done. And with this, I actually felt like in a way she was playing it a little more safe. The tone was pretty consistent. It never went off the rails, but it also didn't, it was not normal either. So I feel like it kind of took this middle road. And so I feel like it's a tough sell because I almost feel like the best things about Miranda July is when she does go fully off the rails, but for many people that is the thing that holds them back from connecting with her work. So I don't know. I mean, I feel a little conflicted about this film overall, in that sense. Anyways, Laura, I want to give you a chance to speak as well.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, okay, the part when it did start getting more surreal, like when they're in the bathroom or whatever, and then they're like in space or the cosmos or whatever.
That was
I
one
actually
of my
kind of
favorite
thought
parts
that
of
was
the movie.
cool. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, okay, now we're getting somewhere, kind of, because at least now it's not supposed to be real.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, this now for me is making it feel like, okay, obviously these characters are. I just felt okay. I felt like the portrayal of the main character, what's her, Old Gorio? No,
Old
Old
Dolio.
Dolio.
Old Dolia. Old Gorio is a book by Balzac, I think. Anyway, point being, I didn't like. I thought. I mean, my response to that character originally was like, this person is not. This is such a caricature of this kind of person. I felt like it just seemed forced. Like the acting seemed forced to me, but then yeah, with the voice, and it just was like very monotone, and it didn't have like nuance to it. You know what I mean? Because even in a character that is monotone, there's nuance. You know what I mean? But I felt that the way it was being portrayed seemed like, I guess, trying to be quirky, but like failing to be the actual thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But then when it became surreal, I was like, okay, maybe she's like really trying to be like that. You know, maybe that's her intention, but why? I'm trying to figure out. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but then there were just like plotline things that I guess I didn't fully understand. I think that Kendra, your assessment of the movie overall, like as in terms of the general like message, is pretty right on. You know, I mean, I think that makes total sense. And
Yeah, I totally agree. By the
while
way.
I felt that, I probably like hadn't culminated it into like clear, cohesive words or thoughts in my mind. So when you were saying, I was like, oh yeah, duh, like totally. I mean, yeah. But in terms of just the experience of watching that message unfold and like the dynamics between the characters, even the dynamic with her and the other girl, the one who comes into the show, the movie, I just did not like their dynamic. You know, I don't know. I mean, I know it was supposed to be awkward, but it was like, just, I don't know. I didn't really like I couldn't connect with the chemistry between them because I didn't actually, like, there was a chemistry. There was a certain chemistry that was, I think, experienced, like as a viewer and through the characters and, you know, in the acting. But something about it was just like, I don't know. I just couldn't get into it for some reason. You know, it was like, it just was cheesy to me or something. I can't explain it. It made me
Yeah.
like kind of cringe a little bit, I guess, you know? But hey, you know, maybe that was the point.
To make you cringe.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. I mean, or not. Maybe, I don't know. But see, I wasn't cringing the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, there were these moments where I was like, okay, I like this right now. I think this is cool.
Yeah.
And I thought that there were these cool things that happened in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, well, okay, the scene. So the one scene that I actually was still kind of like pondering and not quite understanding was the scene where the father is in the bathroom with the, you know, the Puerto Rican girl. What's her name again?
Yeah,
Melody?
Yeah, Melanie. Yeah.
Sorry, young woman. Melanie. So they're in the bathroom and they're about to go in the hot tub, and he basically like sexually kind of, you know, confronts her.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like, what? Okay, I didn't. I mean, you do get the vibe that this is kind of coming, but what is up with this exactly? And how is this? What exactly is the significance of this in relation to the overall like kind of movie and like message of the film?
If I may
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
I interpreted that as like it like being a spotlight on the character flaw of the parents of like not being able to nurture or love. And so like, you know, old Dolio's like interpreting like Melanie's presence as like, oh, they're being all affectionate to her, they're treating her like a daughter that they love, and she's like resentful of what she's perceiving as the attention that she's not receiving. But really, I think that the parents just like they sexualize her, and they're like they're more drawn to her cleverness about like, you know, other potential cons. Like, you know, there's not actually like any sort of rapport between them. Like they're so narcissistic and obsessed with
And like
their
disconnected.
schemes. Yeah, like they
Mhm.
like they couldn't even like, you know, relate to
Wait,
her as another person.
do you think that they actually thought that she wanted to have some kind of sexual interaction with them?
I don't think that they think about it, what other people think or
Yeah.
feel.
But
They're
then
like, "We
why
want
would they
this."
even why would they want that? I was trying to figure out, why did they want that? Did they actually both want that, or was there some scheme going on? Or what was that even about? I didn't even fully understand that scene, to be honest. I was like,
Yeah. I think that it's like there needed to be some breaking point where it's like, you know, old Dolio like expresses her grievances and like, you know, has that moment of like, okay, like I'll pay you to call me hun. Like I'll give you money to be affectionate towards me. So it's like there had to be some sort of like disruption. What?
wait, that was before the scene or after? I'm trying to remember now.
After. So it's like
The one
Old
she said,
Dolio.
right, because she comes in
she's
and she's
out.
like, "What are you guys doing?" Right.
Yeah. And
So, but then again, though, back to the like almost sex scene.
yeah, and I think that like, Melanie like picks up on that too, where she's just like, you like pervy, like empty people, like like she starts like entertaining like his sexual fantasies in like this very
Right.
exaggerated way, like, oh, you want like soapy tits or just
Mhm.
whatever, and he's like, kind of like salivating at the mouth, and she's just like, she's just observing his disconnect
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like fanning it, and he can't pick up on it, and then everything kind of like crumbles like when
Mm-hmm.
Dolio comes in and she's able to empathize with her, and like
Mm-hmm.
there's that breaking moment where old Dolio like asserts that she's like in need of affection. Melanie's like, I got you, I'll make you pancakes, I'll do a little dance.
What about her mom as a figure then, in terms of how that, like, how Melanie communicates with her own mother, who we never obviously see, but there's like this
Yeah.
aspect of her mother as being this kind of loving person and considerate person. She sends her two of everything she buys, and yet there
Melanie's
seems
mom.
to be,
Yeah.
but then there is also a superficialness like to Melanie's character, obviously, that we're supposed to kind of observe as she's this kind of, typical LA kind of, sort of type
Yeah.
of figure, you know what I mean? Who seems kind of ditzy and kind of superficial, but then maybe there's something, obviously she's the one who sort of pulls old Gorio out
Oh,
of
Dolio.
old Dolio out of their sort of the hole, the rut that she's in with her parents, who are these
Mhm.
disconnected, cold, icy walled people. So, and in that sense, she actually has not just not magnetism, I should say, but like she does have a kind of magnetism, but a kind of insight. She's the only one who's able to see what's really going on and
Yeah.
actually take action to do something about it to a degree. She actually takes direct and conscious effort to help this person.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that she's in. Do you think that she's like in getting involved with these people in the beginning, honestly, because she wants to be involved with a heist? Or do you think that she actually somehow has some kind of intuition or insight, or not insight, but I think an intuitive connection to them, and that she's somehow, I don't know, drawn to on an emotional level without, it has nothing to do with money or like wanting to like be involved in the scheme or whatever, or what do you think?
Dominic, do you want to take this one? I have.
Well, what's
Yeah.
funny is that was something I was going to bring up as a negative for me, which was her motivation, Melanie's motivation to actually join the family schemes was something I felt like I didn't quite understand. I felt like Melanie, to me, felt very much like the audience surrogate. She is more normal. She, I feel like, exists in the realm of someone you may have actually met, whereas the family is a little more fantastical. And her decision to jump into this family who acts this strange with nothing really in return, I felt like what is she getting out of this other than what, like, entertainment value for herself because this is so
Actually,
strange? Or
thinking back on it now, I'm remembering, okay, she totally lied about her, job or whatever to them in the beginning, right? So there was an element of insecurity about her own life circumstances. And then we also see her talking to her mother on the phone and being really disconnected from that at a certain point. Remember when she was
right,
just
yeah,
like
that's true.
Yeah.
rolling her eyes and feeling like her mom, it seemed like her response to her mother was that she didn't feel understood by the mother for some reason.
Yeah, it seemed like the mother was like asking a lot of leading questions and just buying her stuff. So it's
right,
like,
and didn't actually care about her either. So maybe they were
Yeah.
both coming from a place where they didn't feel loved or seen by their parents, but in opposite ways, where this woman who's her caretaker is giving her all these physical items and also not seeing or caring about her, whereas the other parents of old
Dolio.
old Dolio, her parents don't give her anything except her her cut, but then it all goes to the rent anyway.
Yeah.
They don't give her anything, and they don't see her and love her.
Yeah.
So you think that she's kind of attracted to the difference?
Well, maybe initially she was just like lying about her life circumstances because she was disillusioned by her real life and wanted to live in this fantasy for a second.
Yeah, she might
And
be bored.
then
Right.
maybe she was like bored and unhappy with her own life and insecure. And then eventually, somehow, when she discovered the existence of old
Dolio.
Dolio, um, was even more entranced and like intrigued, and there was an initial like spark between them. Hope I'm just guessing here, and filling in the blanks. But I mean, it's not really blank. There is evidence to support some of
Yeah.
this, and then she continues to sort of have a role in their next heist or whatever, because she actually does want to dig into this, I guess, chemical reaction that she's having to old Dolio.
Dolio.
hmm And then maybe I don't know. So she's just as like lonely and unloved as old Dolio, but she covers her own thing up with kind of this bubbly sort of maybe somewhat sexualized version of that vibe of that
And
character.
maybe fake too. I mean, something
Oh, she definitely seems fake.
yeah, like she seems like
I mean,
she's almost
Yeah.
compensating for, because she's so
Like-
nice and
Right. Like, her thing
understanding
is like
of the insanity that's going on around her.
like
that-
she wants they both want attention. That's the
Mhm.
thing, is they're both like attention starved, and she's doing it in a way that is like sexualizing of her own body, and like they're on the airplane and this guy is like coming up to her and she's like, oh, I get it all the time, clearly like reveling in this attention, but not the type of attention she actually wants. And then like with the other girl, it's like she's the opposite of sexualized. She's like entirely desexualized. I mean, she's wearing
Yeah.
these ridiculously baggy clothes. She holds herself in a really, I mean, totally lacking in confidence kind of way, where she's just like totally withdrawn. Hair is like super long. And then, but yet she does crave the attention as well.
Yeah,
But
well, I don't know
it's a
about
very
crave
specific, it's a specific type of attention though. It's not like craving to be sexualized or objectified. It's craving love, the attention of
I
love.
think she needs it more than craves it. She needs it, but she doesn't even realize it. Old Dolio, I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Old
Well,
Dolio
I
to
mean,
me is like she
I'm interchanging craving and needing. I think that
yeah.
that's basically to
I
me the
just
same
mean-
thing.
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm specifying is that she does not outwardly want it. I don't even think she's aware that she needs it. I think that
I don't
it's a
think the other girl
subconscious-
is either. I don't think either of them are aware that they need it
Mm.
fully. Like I don't think either of them are aware that they're missing it.
Mhm.
But they're both taking these steps in these opposite ways to getting it.
Right.
Maybe that's the genius behind it all, is like, okay, she's drawing this picture of like something that is intrinsically human in both of these seemingly opposite characters,
Yeah.
that eventually is achieved by the two of them sort of like kind of conceding to each other in a way.
Mhm.
Although
Would
one of
you-
them is like
yeah.
more willing and more sort of forthcoming, but maybe there's something to like that being a part of the necessary ingredient for achieving the love, is that one being needs to be received and one needs to be like forthcoming.
There's an
Like, there's-
exchange. Yeah.
There's an exchange, but they can't be the same. Like
Yeah.
they couldn't both be like going toward it's.
Right.
One was like receding while the other one was moving towards it.
Yeah.
But there was something about that brought it out in both of them. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
kind of.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It
No,
made me
I feel
think,
that.
too,
Go ahead.
it just made me think too. It's like, when you're describing Melanie as like, a specific type of attention starved, like, leading with her sexuality, leading with like a fake superficial personality, and then the
Mhm.
moment, like when we observe like the first attraction that she feels for old Dolio, is the moment when old Dolio is like peeling off her acrylic nails. It's like, she's,
Right,
like,
peeling off the
that-
fake part.
peeling off
Yes.
the fake part, and like, she's like transfixed by her when she's doing this kind of like
Mhm.
animalistic dance, because it's like, it's not sexy, it's not pretty, it's like, I wonder if it's like she sees in old Dolio an authenticity that she's disconnected from because she relies on her sexuality and her material goods.
Yes. but not just an authenticity, but also that she is being seen by this person and not being judged necessarily in that moment.
Yeah.
Like this person is taking her nails off and doing this kind of disgusting task, but without being like reactionary or outwardly, disgusted by it. And
Totally.
I think that makes her feel seen and safe and not something that she's experienced up to that point, probably.
Yeah, totally.
So there's both
Yeah.
like there's a receiving and giving on both ends, like in a certain kind of way.
Yeah. And again, that's like why I feel like it's a love story, but it's not like about
Their
relationship
yeah.
or like the achievement of relationship, but like actually about what's involved in that exchange and that whole like notion of being seen authentically, seeing others,
Mm-hmm.
and like,
Yeah.
and the ways in which they both were deprived of that.
Right.
I mean, I gotta say, even just listening to you guys talk about that, it makes me even want to take back the negative that I had earlier that I said about it ending in a spot that I felt like it was just beginning. Because I actually feel like, with that in mind, I feel like that is actually the appropriate place to end then. The movie, I mean, in the sense of like, if you're gonna talk about a relationship and the basis in which it's formed by, which I think this movie is definitely dealing with, then that is, I feel like the ending is the natural
Yeah, it's
conclusion
not
of that,
about
which is like
it's not
they
about
finally
their
see each other.
relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not about their relationship. It's about how love is achieved, maybe, or
Right,
how
right.
love can be reached, and like they're just kind of placeholding
Yeah.
the
They're
like
the pawns
necessary
in that.
components of that
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
But also I think that plenty of movies end where the couple finally gets together. You don't see what happens. It's
Oh,
like a
sure.
happily ever after type of thing where it's like the end.
I
But
think part of
then
that.
the part 2 of it is like they got married and had 5 kids and she got really fat and like or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
That's
the
the
post
sequel.
Cinderella story. But that's not really. It's about how they got there.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess I don't know.
I think too, it's like if it's about love, but not like a love story, then the
Mhm.
whole thread too of like, they check to see if the parents came in and stole the money,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like, the 3 outcomes, like, like if they did, all or whatever. If they didn't, I don't know, I can't remember what it was exactly,
Right.
but the third one was like, but if just my portion is there, then that means that,
Right.
they
What
are
did she,
who they are.
yeah, I didn't. Okay, I was like not exactly. I kind of didn't understand what she said, and I didn't go through the trouble of rewinding it to really hear it again. I was like, what did she say? And then I was like, whatever. And but then I was, I realized that by the end of the movie, that, after they do all the returns of the presents, the amount she's left with is her share, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, what does that mean again in terms of what she said? I was like,
Wasn't it like they're not monsters, but
they are, it's like basically like they are who they are,
Mhm.
and that doesn't mean
it's
that
like
they
an acceptance.
don't love me. Yeah, it's like grieving
She doesn't have to.
the reality of who they are and what their relationship is, but not feeling like victimized by it.
Right.
Acceptance.
there's
Like
empathy there.
yeah, which
Or
is
it's
also
like, yeah,
love, like seeing people
Right.
for who they are, and like
and not trying to change them.
yeah, and there's like
Or
grief
change.
with that. 'Cause you're like,
Right.
well, I'm pretty
And-
disappointed that
Yeah.
whole birthday situation wasn't real, but
She knew it wasn't real from the beginning.
yeah,
And the understanding too that it's okay to not have them in your life anymore, but you could still understand, like you could understand what it is they're trying to say with their actions and make the decision that that is not okay in my life, but yet you still keep that thread of I don't know, I guess it is love. Like there is still that familial love there, but it's like the understanding that it's not, you can't have that as a constant connection.
Something that's interesting about the parents is like they're just the mom cannot bring herself to call her hun because she's just so
Yeah. Unless
repulsed
there's
by the
money on
idea
the
of
line. Or
well,
even
'cause
if there's money on the line.
but putting money on the line, it sort of diffuses an excessive like emotional quality. You know what I mean? So to tenderly refer to the daughter as Hun would be like this display of emotion that she feels almost disgusted or repulsed by, because they're
Right.
so removed from their own emotions. And I actually understand that feeling in a way myself. Like, I know how that can feel, like to not want to show emotion because you feel like kind of embarrassed by it, or just like it's cheesy or something like that, or and the mom even talks about it. She's like, you want me to be a fakey, blah blah blah. She associates emotions with being fake, which is interesting. That I do not do. I don't feel that way, but I do know how it feels to want to like hide your emotions to a degree. And so it's interesting because even if she wanted to be emotional towards the daughter, like she was so hindered by this like lack of confidence or being grounded in her emotions that she was just like held back by that. She couldn't, you know what I mean? And so what's interesting is the birthday presents. So they took everything from the apartment, right, including the money. And they could have just left. They could have taken the presents, but they could have left her with her share in cash. But instead they took the cash and they did leave the presents behind. So in a way it was like they were giving her the presents. You know what I mean? Like, but there was still the idea that she could return them for the money, so that it was kind of saving them from having to be like emotional. You know what I mean about it? And so you could read that as being like, actually there was a certain like demonstration of their ability to express emotion and affection towards the daughter in the gift giving, but they were able to still couch it in the like financial exchange, thereby saving them from the like emotional ickiness. You know what I mean? That you maybe that's why I was like, something's like icky about the emotional exchange between old Goryo and Melanie that I'm like kind of grossed out by a little bit. But then that's maybe actually was supposed to be like that to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of interesting. Maybe. I don't know.
Man,
because it's like supposed to be the opposite of how the parents feel. You know what I mean?
Maybe they just didn't have time to return the stuff to the store and completely clean out her whole apartment.
I guess that's possible too. But then why wouldn't they just?
I feel like it is a sign of affection.
Why wouldn't?
You know?
I think that it was pretty symbolic as to why they left the presents.
Yeah, they
Specifically.
There's
did
guilt.
the
I think
best
there's
that they could.
Yeah.
That's how they can show affection.
Exactly.
And I think there's probably
Change who they
guilt.
are.
There's probably guilt too with never giving her a birthday present, and then maybe feeling like, well,
Definitely.
she does deserve these presents, even if we're going to take everything else from her life.
That's so Miranda July, though, that it's like, and so what they do is they give her a birthday present for every year of her life, and they like give her like baby stuff. Like, this is what
It's like a roundabout way to the.
See, that's why that like feels like very Miranda July. Is just like this like featurette of stuff. Just like now is this cameo by this Fisher Price like barnyard thing that you twist and it oinks for your second birthday.
Right. Man, I would love to keep talking about this, but I do feel like we should probably wrap it up just because we're going a little long. But Kendra, I feel like you had better thoughts than I could ever have about this movie. I feel like you expressed it much more than I could. Honestly, I feel like I was trying to come up with a concise way to say it, and I feel like you said it. And I agree, and in fact, it was kind of even changing my opinion about certain negatives that I had about the film. So I'm really glad that we had you on this episode, Kendra. And again, I would love to keep talking, but I do feel like we should wrap it up. Kendra, thanks again for being on this episode. Kajillionaire, you can find it wherever you watch movies. I watched it on Amazon Prime. Where did you guys watch it, by the way?
Amazon
YouTube.
Prime.
Okay. Well, we know it's on Amazon Prime. It might be elsewhere. Check it out if you feel so inclined, especially if you've listened all the way this far and still haven't seen it. I mean, oopsie daisy, we spoiled the whole thing, but still worth watching.
Oopsie
Old Golio. What is it? Old Gulio? What were you saying, Laura?
Old Goryo. Goryo.
Old Goryo is waiting for you.
There's a book called Goryo. I think it's by Balzac.
Balzac, indeed.
Yeah.
We will be back in 2 weeks with a new episode.
Yep.
Which will be November 22nd at 7 p.m. And our guest will be Emily Jane White, who's also a Bay Area musician who is also a good friend of ours. And we're very excited about that. We don't know what movie we're going to watch yet, but if you follow us on Instagram, that's where we announce the next films that we'll be watching. Also, we go live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, so wherever you like to stream things, give us a follow there, and that's where you'll be able to watch the next episode. So, and I have started actually posting episodes to the podcast feeds. So if you're an audio listener, you can keep on listening to just the audio, though we are here in video form, and we do encourage you to check out the video form if you can. Nicole Kyle just commented, "Thank you, appreciate the analysis." Nicole is our number one fan. Thanks, Nicole, for always tuning in.
Oh, I didn't see her on. Okay.
She's there. Yeah. What's up? What up? Anyways, we'll be back. And thanks again to Kendra. And thanks, Laura, for being the co-host on this episode as well.
You're welcome.
And we will see you guys soon.
Thank you. Okay.
Biden.
Biden.
By Dawn, not Biden.
All right.
Well, but also like Biden.
Yeah, Biden. Sure, why not?
Biden indeed. Biden 2020. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.